I just played in the US Open, which is one of the biggest tournaments held annually here in the USA. This year it was held in Middleton, Wisconsin, which pretty much has nothing to do there. But that's okay because I played 9 rounds of classical chess, plus a blitz tournament and the National Scholastic Championship. So over the next couple of days, I'm going to be uploading and analyzing a couple games with you guys every day. And to start it out today, I picked a couple of the most tactical and dynamic games that I played, which had stuff going on all over the place. So let's just check out the games. Okay, so for context, my USCF rating at the time was 1796, and I'm about 2150, 2200 rapid on chess.com. In round 4, I was black and paired against a 2019 called Sanchit Rajkumar or something, and of course this is just a small Indian kid, but of course he's 2000 USCF. So he goes e4, and I've been recently studying the French, and it's now my main option against e4, and he goes into the exchange French, which I actually don't really enjoy, but I just have to deal with it because I just think that this is a very boring opening, and I know a lot of people will agree with me. So knight f3, knight f6, and he goes for this line. There's many moves here, but I choose to go for the c5 line. You'll see, let me just turn on this and the engine. So there's many moves here. Main move is bishop d6, but I go for c5. And the idea really is just to bother this light squared bishop. And he goes for the c3 line, and I just play c4, wanting to shut down this bishop and just taking some space on the queen side already. So here, I already make my first inaccuracy because literally this c5, c4 push is all I know in this line, and I don't really know anything else. So I played knight c6, but what I should have done is immediately go bishop d6 and just try to castle as soon as possible, because this knight c6 moves gives me problems later on. But there's actually this main line here which goes queen e2, and I'm supposed to go for this kind of structure where I manually castle and put my rook on e8. This is a better line and the main line, which I should have known, but I just hate studying openings. So that is why I played knight c6, which is already slightly inaccurate and allows him to quickly castle, which he probably should have castled, but he was obviously scared of this bishop g4, which is very annoying for him, so he just goes h3. And I too am scared of this pin on my queen, which is why I play h6, but again, this is an inaccuracy because I don't know this opening that well, and what I should have played is, again, just go bishop d6, wanting to castle as soon as possible, because when my king is in the center and he is castled, I just have very big problems in this line. So h6, and now he castles, and now I go bishop d6 with the idea of castling. But now he goes b3, and he's starting to get some counterplay on the queen side, and now I don't have enough time to castle, otherwise he is going to take here, and now my pawn is just not very good. At least that's what I thought, but the engine actually just wants me to castle because my king is too weak in the center, and this isn't really a threat. Like, I can just bc, just dc, and this pawn is fine because I can support it with b5, a6, bishop b7, something like that. This pawn is not really a weakness, which is what I thought it was. Like, you already see knight d2, I can go bishop e6, and then I think the following moves is going to just be something like b5, a6, and I have this very nice queenside pawn structure. But I was just too uncomfortable having this pawn isolated here, which is why I decided to support it with b5. But this is a mistake because here he can just take, and after I take, he just simply develops with something like bishop a4. And this is already not very good for me because I'm forced to go bishop d7, and then knight e5 is coming. And just allowing his bishops to get here with an x-ray on my king and this knight in the center is just already not great for me. But engine still, like, it's obviously holdable with like rook c8 or something, but it's just, I don't really like this position. So a4, which is a mistake because he should have just taken here. But again, this is the most natural move, and I thought that this was very strong. So here I thought for a while, and I actually thought that I was in a pretty bad position, but engine finds a nice solution here. So I took, which is the first move, and here I took here with the idea of playing bishop d7 and something like knight e7 or castle, because I know he wants to play knight e5, and after he takes here, I'm forced to play bishop d7. So I thought that this was at least holdable for me, but it immediately gives white a +2 advantage, which is just horrible. It's like almost losing. What I should have done is go b4, and I saw this, I was calculating this, but the reason why I didn't want to do this is because I thought that he had c4, and after I take, this pawn is just not very good. But actually, I don't know what I was scared of, because so c4 I was kind of scared of, but after hold on, so c4 dc, here I can just play a5 and this is fine. Or okay, obviously not a5 immediately, I can just castle, but I thought that this pawn was too weak. Wait, I don't know. I think I was seeing ghosts. I was scared of nothing. Actually, now I'm confused why I didn't play b4, because I thought that this was a good move, just it left this pawn too isolated, but now I don't know why I felt that. Anyways, I decided to take here, and this is just a very bad move, giving my opponent a lot of pressure on my uncastled king, and I'm forced to do something like bishop d7 to break the pin, and now knight e5 is coming, and he's already almost winning a pawn, but I decided to hang on to my pawn with knight e7, but I can play something like rook c8 and simply give up this pawn. Hold on, that's not the right way. So he takes here, and he can just take on a7 or something, and I just thought that if I was down a pawn against a higher rated opponent, this was just impossible for me to win. So I wanted to hang on to that pawn. But if I had done something like this, I think I would have much better chances, because it's not a very good pawn, and it's only a pawn. I still have counterplay on the king side. So bishop d7, knight e5, I go knight e7, and here he finds the correct way to play this. So he takes here and then goes queen g4, setting up a very strong attack on this d7 knight, and also a double attack on g7. So first he's threatening to lure my king out in the middle, and he's also threatening to take this. And at this point, I thought I was just losing, because it's hard for me to defend this, and it's hard for me to defend this. So I thought that I needed to make counterplay, and I needed to go for his king, even if I had to sacrifice material, because that was the only way I thought I had a chance of winning, which is why I played queen c7, which with the idea of after taking here, I go rook g8, and I line up my rook on his king. But in reality, I can just play g6, and it's still +3, but at least I'm not losing a pawn. But I think both of these moves are honestly fine, because this gives me a pretty decent amount of counterplay actually. So he obviously takes here, rook g8, and he finds the correct move to my annoyance, queen h7, which is slightly better than queen a6. And then I simply long castle with the idea of doubling my rooks and just getting my king out of the center finally. But long castle is fine here. It's the most obvious continuation. But I actually have this clever move, rook g6, just locking his queen out. And it's still not good for me, but I think it's slightly better than long castle. So here, and he goes back to d3. It's slightly inaccurate, but it doesn't really change the advantage that much. And I choose to go, so I obviously have to make some counterplay on the king side, right? So I'm going to start to double, and I chose to go rook g7, because, so you might wonder why I'm allowing him to take on h6 with tempo, but if he does that, I simply go rook g6, and after he goes back, I have a very easy double, so I sacrifice another pawn to double my rooks like this. And now, as you can see, the engine is already thinking about it a little bit. Even though white is up 2 pawns, I have a very strong attack on the king side, which is why I played rook g7, and the reason why I didn't play rook g6 was I thought that he had queen a6, and now bishop c2. And now you might think that, well, it seems like my rook has no good squares, because like all of these squares are covered, and if I go to g7, he can take here, and now I'm forced back all the way. But what I missed was that I simply have this bishop bishop h2, and it's simply a discovered attack on the queen. I just completely overlooked this. I just completely forgot that rook g6 x-rays this a6 square. I don't even know what I was thinking. I was probably very tired this game, but I think it's actually just the nerves from playing someone higher rated. But I should have seen this. I don't know, like, I don't know why I was playing so bad that this game. Anyways, so I go rook g7, and he goes f5. Let me turn the engine back on. Yeah, so I think f4, sorry. F4 is a decent move, just cutting off the diagonal, but it takes away a lot of his advantage because I can simply double here. And I didn't want to do this because I thought that he had bishop d7, and after queen d7, my king is very weak here. Like, he would do something like this to defend this, but now his pieces are coming in. But in reality, there's not much of an attack here because I simply run my king to this side of the board, and he can take as much space as he wants on the queen side, but my king side attack is very strong, and he has to deal with that eventually. Like, queen h3 is already a threat. Or, okay, wait, not right now, but it's an idea. So I just kind of overlooked that my king was not as weak as I thought, but that is why I played knight b6 here. It's just not letting him take on d7. And so he plays queen a6, king b8. This all makes sense. Knight a3 with the obvious threat of knight b5. And I maybe spent 30 minutes here calculating this queen c3 line because I thought that I might actually have a chance here if he goes knight b5. So obviously this is a threat here and here. But I have this interesting idea, rook g2. And here I hunt down the king. I keep giving him checks, but eventually he covers the king with all of his pieces, and I simply have nothing here. The threat on a7 is too strong, and this is automatic loss here. I can just resign here. But that is why I didn't choose to take here. And of course, there's obviously this very easy continuation, queen a7 and knight b5. Just picking up a pawn and grabbing my queen. So it's not much to do there, but that is why I'm forced to take here, that was my reasoning behind why I took, because I really didn't want to give up my strong dark squared bishop here and activate his bishop or his rook, but I thought that I had to. So rook a3, and now I finally double the rooks, and he goes rook f2 to defend. So again, I'm still trying to put pressure. I'm still trying to get counterplay because I'm down a pawn, and I thought that I need to mate his king or else I'm going to lose this game because I'm down a pawn. And I think that logic actually makes a lot of sense because a strong player like this is not going to blunder the game away. Like, he's not going to lose when he's up a pawn. So I tried to keep making counterplay. I go knight f5 with the idea of maybe going knight g6 or going knight h4. I think my idea here was actually to go knight g6. Yes, it was queen e7 and knight g6 because I wanted to give this check on the back rank, but he can just block here, so I wanted to play knight g6. That was why I went to f5 instead of g6. So knight f5, and bishop b5 is kind of a weird move, but I guess he just wants to get on this diagonal or something. Not that clear to me. And here I'm in a lot of time trouble because I spent way too much time thinking earlier, and so I just have to start blitzing out my moves. I maybe have a minute or two left while he still has 30 minutes. So I have to play extremely quickly. I go knight g3 with the same idea of just doing this stuff, but it's not too great now because I'm in time trouble. f5 is extremely strong because the threat is simply bishop f4, and my king and queen get skewered along with this threat on my knight. So I go knight h5 to defend this, but I'm too low on time and I don't have enough pieces near his king to have anything work out here. He goes bishop d2 and queen e7. So this is where my notation ran out, and I'm not totally sure of what happened here, but I know for certain there's one thing I missed for certain, and I know I just totally screwed it up. So bishop f3, I'm not sure why he didn't take my knight. Maybe he was scared of something like this or some checks here, but there's just queen f1. There's no reason for him to be scared. But I go, again, I'm in time trouble. I don't know what I'm doing here because I have like 10 seconds left. And for these games, there's no increment. There's only a 5-second delay. So I can't gain any time. I have to, when I lose time, I'll never get it back. So I just try to make moves very quickly, and he just gives me a check and I go back. And here he forks my pieces, I give a check very quickly. He goes here, and I have like 5 seconds here with a 5-second delay. So I blitz out this move. And then the very next second, I realized that I missed the one chance I had in this game, which was rook g2. The entire idea of doubling the rooks is to eventually play this move. And here it conveniently works for me, because after bishop g2, rook g2, king g2, I have queen g3. And this is simply a perpetual. It's a draw. It's just a draw. And I would have loved to have this result. But because I have no time left, I screw it up and I missed this very pretty idea. Oops. Yeah. Very pretty. But yeah, a few moves later, I just kind of lose the game because I made it in a couple moves here and I have nothing to do really. I missed my one chance here because I was too low on time. I think I flagged this game actually. But yeah, this was just not a very good opening by me. I don't know what I was really doing here. Like, this is the end of my prep, and I should have just gone bishop d6 way earlier to just castle and get rid of all my problems in the middle game. Because here he had a very nice attack here, and my king is just too weak in the middle of the board. So I just need a castle as soon as I can. And I just was missing too many ideas in the endgame, especially that rook g2. I can't believe it. Every time I see this, it hurts me. I can't believe I missed this. Oh, it's so bad. I should have seen this. Yeah, I'm really sad that I missed this. Okay, it's fine. Next game I'm gonna go over is this game. I played against a 1400. I'm much higher rated than this person. And so basically, I was expecting a very easy win. But things do not go that way. So she played the Pierts. Wait, is it? I know some people that say it's the Perk, but I pronounce it Pierts. But some people also say like Pirk. It's weird. I don't know how to pronounce this opening. Anyways, this is just very standard. I wasn't really sure what to do here, but f4 is by far the main move. And it's just grabbing a lot of space on the king side. Just maybe launching an attack eventually. But also you can just castle short. So this is all very normal stuff. It's castle bishop e2. I went bishop e2 because I know that the bishop doesn't really belong here on these kinds of fianchetto pawn structures. But I think the bishop is good here just to solidify this pawn. But it doesn't really make that much of a difference. b6 is not a great move because I have this very nice find. And I'm actually kind of happy that I found this move, e5. de5, and the better move would have been de5 because after this the knight is forced back and I have a very nice position here because I just go bishop e2 and black doesn't really have any development. I can just quickly castle and it's hard for black to develop. I'm way ahead in development here. But instead I felt that this knight takes e5 was stronger because I kind of just bother the black development and it's hard to kick away this knight. So bishop b7, and again, this was another one of my ideas. So if he was going to play bishop b7, I go bishop f3, and I can test this bishop on the very strong diagonal. Here, bishop e3, just to defend this d4 pawn, and my idea was just simply to play bishop f2, and if he takes here, I take with the queen and launch an attack on the c6 square. Again, I think I was playing this game much better than the last one, but again, I'm against a much lower rated player, so she's not playing extremely accurately. So I long castle. I think this is a bad habit that I have. I just want to long castle every game and launch an attack. You know, it might like not be objectively correct, but I think this is the most fun way to play chess if I just make imbalances and launch a kingside attack. Like that's how I want to play. So queen c7, it doesn't really do much. I think she just wants to further defend this pawn so she can play a move like knight d7. But here Engine wants me to actually immediately play h4 because there's nothing to be worried of on the king side, and I'm just going to play h5, take queen h3, and mate on h7. Like, that's my idea. Very strong attack here, and black doesn't have enough counterplay on the queen side. Instead, I decide to go king b1 because I wanted to play principled chess and take it easy before I launch my attack, because h4 is going to be my very next move. So yeah, knight d7, h4, and I thought that if we trade up the knights in the middle, everything is fine. And here I played knight e4, very nice move. f6, which is probably the only move to kind of untangle the position. Otherwise, she's just going to get steamrolled on the king side. h5, take queen h3. Again, the same idea. Just get a battery on the h file. And so f6 kind of disrupts everything. But after take, I have knight g5. And this is very strong, attacking e6 and stockpiling pressure here. So h5 is no longer that big of a threat because there's knight h5. I don't really have any ideas to... So I don't really have any ideas like this because this is not great. Just h6 and I'm down in exchange. There's not much here. Which is why after she played rook fe8, I went rook he1 to just keep stockpiling pressure on this e6 square, because now the king side is no longer a weakness. This e6 square is the weakness, which is why I'm trying to target it with all my pieces. So she pushes, and this is a very big blunder because I immediately have this queen b3 move, and my threat, if the king moves, is knight f7, ending the game on the spot. And if the king doesn't move, I'm just taking all her pieces. Like here, take, and it's the same threat. I just win the game like this. So I just kind of missed that because I thought that knight d5 just was a blockade, but I just missed rook d5. But anyways, take is fine. Everything is good in my position. I thought that knight d5 was a very strong move, but apparently I can just play like c4 or something. It's kind of weird here, but she didn't even play knight d5, and she just took here, which loses to bishop g3. And she's just losing all her pieces, and there's not much she can do here. I think she played this out till mate, but there's really no reason to go that far because I just win here. If you've enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing, and make sure to watch out for when I post my next games of this tournament, because I have many crazy games. And in the different time control, I played a side tournament that was 30 minutes instead of like 100 minutes, and that was much crazier. And I had some very insane games in that tournament. Oh my god, just thinking about it is crazy. Okay, bye bye.